Welcome to JPAC Advocacy Day 2022. For those of you who I have not had the pleasure of meeting, I'm Allison Gingold. I'm the JPAC chair this year. And today we are celebrating our 50th anniversary of advocacy and engagement in our California legislature. "50 years ago, the Jewish Community Federation and Endowment Fund co-founded the Jewish Public Affairs Committee of California to advocate toward our state government on behalf of the Jewish community's issues and broadly shared values. Today, we are now the largest single-state coalition of Jewish organizations in the nation. JPAC uses our community's collective reach and strength to help build the world that we want to live in, for ourselves and for all vulnerable people across California. For those of you new to JPAC, I want to give you a sense of those who are in the room with you right now, at your tables, and who will be working with you all day. Our reach and our membership support over 1 million Jewish people within California, from numerous Jewish federations across the state and Jewish community relations councils, Jewish Family Services, 30 Years After, American Jewish Committee, the Anti-Defamation League, Beit Tzedek Legal Services, EDA, Hadassah, HIAS, the Holocaust Museum Los Angeles, Jewish Center for Justice, Jewish Free Loan Association, Jewish Vocational Service, San Francisco and Southern California, the Rhoda Goldman Plaza, as well as receiving the support of the Correct Foundation. It is a mouthful, and it is a unified collective force, and it's just so pleasing that I can be your leader this year and have you up here. I'm truly, truly grateful for our collaborative work. In today's gathering, I would like to focus on all of our new volunteers who have joined since its inception 50 years ago. You have all chosen to be part of JPAC due to a mutual passion and mission. Your passions help all of us to unite, and the energy we create is what allows us to achieve our individual as well as our collective goals. We need you as much as you need us, and that is why we are grateful to have you here with us today. In recent years, JPAC's influence has been realized in unprecedented ways. To give you an idea, in recent years, since 2019, we have successfully advocated for over $100 million from the state budget for a wide variety of community projects, including enhancing community security initiatives, rebuilding Jewish summer camps destroyed in wildfires, expanding our Holocaust education institutions, and securing vital resources for seniors, immigrants, and people experiencing food insecurity. We helped pass crucial legislation to create and expand mental health, anti-poverty, and hate crime initiatives. And we led the advocacy efforts to remove anti-Semitic content from the state's ethnic studies model curriculum. In 2021, we focused on several JPAC budget priorities, including the expansion of the Holocaust Museum LA, the JFCS Holocaust Center in San Francisco, and record amounts of funding for the California State Nonprofit Security Grant Program. We were grateful to Governor Newsom to create the Governor's Council on Holocaust and Genocide Education by executive action and signing Bloom's AB 1126 bill, creating the Commission on the State of Hate. Considering the increased rise in hate crimes, wildfires, and the need for social services due to the COVID pandemic, this year's JPAC's requests for over, now close to $400 million, are just as acute as in years past. They include support for our core Jewish community needs, such as community security, the Holocaust and genocide education, and the rebuilding of coveted institutions, including our camps that were needing rebuilding after the Woolsey fires. They also support our Jewish values by providing critical social services to support all vulnerable people. JPAC Advocacy Day is our premier annual event. During this important gathering, you will hear from and have access to exclusive networking opportunities with some of the state's most powerful lawmakers and activists, and practice and participate in direct lobbying with our California legislators. Together, we will fulfill our mission to serve the Jewish voice of California and advocate on behalf of the Jewish community to our representatives in California's state legislature. At a time when anti-Semitic and hate-motivated incidences have reached record highs, our agenda supports policies that tackle each stage in the evolution of hatred: education, preventing its spread, physical security, and community response. We aim to uphold the Torah's most enumerated commandment, Ve'ahavta l'rechecha kamocha, loving the stranger as yourself, by working to combat poverty and inequity and expand our access to food, healthcare, and immigrant services. Last week's events, with a leaked release of a final draft documented by the Supreme Court, demonstrates exactly why we are all here today. We cannot let the decisions of 5 justices dictate the voice of our people. You are here today because you recognize the necessity to make your voice heard in our state legislature. It is a gift. It is a privilege to be able to come here today and join us, and we say there is no room for hate, not on our watch. We will not stand for the rise of anti-Semitism, and we speak for the collective, unified voice of the Jewish people of California. How lucky we are all here together to lend our voice and show our strength. I want to take a moment right now to thank our sponsor of this year's conference. Thank you to the Holocaust Museum Los Angeles, Jewish Family and Children's Services of San Francisco, the Correct Foundation, Nicole and Alan Muchnick, and Cece Filer. I want to take a moment right now also to thank our longest partner and the man who has made our advocacy work the success it is, our lobbyist, Cliff Berg. Again, thank you so much for attending today's 50th anniversary of JPAC's Advocacy. Please help me welcome our new Executive Director, David Bocarsly. We are thrilled to have David as our new fearless leader. His dedication, enthusiasm, and commitment to JPAC's public policy priorities has ensured the success of this conference and our legislative agenda this year. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you so much, Allison. I am just so grateful to have you as a mentor and leader as I come into this role, and JPAC is grateful for your leadership as well. So how's everyone doing this morning? We had a great night last night. Thank you all for being here. It is a pleasure to see so many of you. I'm looking around and I'm realizing that this is a gift. 3 years ago, when we last gathered for JPAC Advocacy Day, we couldn't have imagined how the world would change. And yet, despite the hardships, the California Jewish community demonstrated its resilience yet again by continuing to invest in our values and make a bigger impact than ever before. As Allison mentioned, in recent years, our advocacy efforts have secured over $100 million from the state budget for key priorities and have led to the passage of dozens of bills that support the security and prosperity of Jews and all vulnerable people. As an organization, just in the last year, we have doubled our operational budget. We have hired our first ever full-time executive director. Thank you. And we brought on 5 new organizations to bring us to a record 30 member organizations. We're building key coalitions with other communities and enhancing our relationships with legislators. Just look at last night. Nearly 1/3 of the entire California legislature joined us to show their support for our work. Yeah. And later today, representatives from 85 legislative offices are set to take meetings with us to discuss our issues. As our impact and capacity grows, so too does our resolve to do more. So this year's legislative agenda is that much more ambitious. We are pushing large-scale, life-changing bills to fight hunger and poverty, to support immigrants and older adults, and combat anti-Semitism and hatred of all forms. We're also asking for over $300 million from the state budget to achieve some of these key initiatives. And we know it's achievable because we've seen a glimpse of what's possible when we unite as a community. The key ingredient, of course, is all of you. Look around. The last few years have been tough, and we're still in the midst of a pandemic. And yet, we are nearly 200 Jewish leaders from across the state who gave up time in the middle of the week to do this work, demonstrating the resilience and the resolve of our community. I also want to shout out to the 50-plus students and young professionals who have come up to do this work as well. The lawmakers joining us throughout the conference and those we will be meeting with later today see that sacrifice, and it makes a huge difference in our ability to move forward the issues that are most important to our community. So let's give a huge round of applause for all of you for doubling down on purpose and for making the necessary sacrifices to build our community. So before we have our special guests come up, let's first talk about the day, shall we? I'll first start by talking about our themes. Many of you know the famous teaching from our sage, Rabbi Hillel, that goes, "If I am not for myself, who will be for me? And if I am only for myself, what am I?" Similarly, I like to say that JPAC is successful because we delicately hold up two core pillars. We fight for issues that directly support the Jewish community, and we fight for issues that directly further Jewish values. Of course, Hillel's final question is, if not now, when? And here we are. So today, we will be focusing on our first pillar on fighting anti-Semitism and hatred, and our second on supporting immigrants and older adults. You'll see these themes interwoven into our sessions throughout our policy conference this morning, and we hope you carry them into your advocacy meetings this afternoon. And for the schedule, feel free to follow along in your programs as I quickly go through it, or you can look on the Whova app, and QR codes are at your table numbers. In a minute, we're going to hear from the Lieutenant Governor and then the Attorney General, two of the most prominent and most impactful statewide elected officials in California. Some of our policy experts will then take you through a quick advocacy training and overview of our priority bills. For the JPAC veterans, we're going to take on an ambitious new project and offer you 3 simultaneous panels after that. They are all incredible, but you will unfortunately have to choose just one. And then we'll give you time to meet with the groups that you'll be advocating with this afternoon. This is a valuable opportunity to ask any questions you may have, assign speaking roles, and practice for your advocacy meetings. You'll come back here for a lunch plenary, and then we'll be off to the state capitol for advocacy meetings. We'll be done by 4 p.m. After a full day of learning, community building, and making real progress on our issues. I like to say that the work isn't done after today. We're just setting the stage. You don't need to be a content expert to try to convince legislators or staffers the importance of each of our bills. Yes, exactly. The 2 most impactful things you will do today is 1, show up, demonstrating the power and reach of our community, and 2, share why you care about these issues. Doing this will help build understanding of our community and our values, and will help further our work into the future. We will then provide resources to legislative offices that will do the rest of the work for you. This is holy work, and I think it's about time we just jump in. So I will bring up our first keynote speaker, the incomparable Lieutenant Governor Eleni Kounalakis, who will be speaking to us in a fireside chat with our very own board vice chair, Marty Shanker, and I'd like to welcome the 2 of them to the stage. Thank you.